Hey everybody, this is Tim Shaw, and I have got the unbelievable opportunity to go and interview two of the upcoming people in this area. We are talking about film, people. Babies, babies, babies. Come on back down there. We got to come to earth because we're going to talk to, who else? Adam Steigert and Patrick Mallette. Because why? They are with Deftone Picture Studios, and they are really coming to you with some wonderful stuff. And you want to know why? You want to know why? Because they're effervescent, they're iridescent. You're going to love them. Let's get right into the studios here. Guys, thank you for stopping in today. I am so thrilled that you took the time out of your busy schedule, because I know you guys are just like all over the place. You guys are editing, you guys are directing, and Pat, you're forever doing like TV spots. You've got women after you. It's a fantastic thing that's going on. Now, you know what? I want to ask you guys something.
Thanks
you
for
know,
having
this
us.
is. I mean, I got to say that for a local production company here in Western New York, it is amazing how ambitious you guys are. I mean, every time I turn around, you guys are shooting. I just love it. Now, what is it about Western New York that you? And I'm going to ask you, Adam. That you find so appealing that you actually want to be based out of this area and shoot locations here?
I would say it's community, because I'm all about embracing local community and exploring the talents that our beautiful city has in it. You know, a lot of, like, you know, you look at like the Hollywood areas and such, and they only got big because certain people, founders, I guess you could say, we could say founders of Hollywood started that. And Buffalo has a huge, huge film community, huge. And we didn't, I think in the last couple of years it really exploded. And I think, you know, to our credit a little bit, I think Deftone helped explode that ability in our community. There were always people making film, but now we have more of a structure of making film in Buffalo. And there's a lot of people that do it. And for me, I think it's just the community that I like to support and I love that brings me back to home base.
Now, Pat, let me read off a couple of the films that you've been in. You've been in The Final Day and Night, which I actually liked. I really thought it was a great film. Black Guy in a Rampage, you were great in that. Caged, and you're also in the upcoming I believe it's called A Grim Becoming, which I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
But tonight we're here to talk a little bit about your work in the movie Ombis. Now, I gotta ask you, I'm a person that likes the backstory of actors and of people who get into this type of deal, people who really have a dedication to it. What is it in your background? Let me just go right back and say it right up front. What's a nice guy like you doing these films?
Doing Covered in Blood. This guy right here, we have a mutual friend, and a few years back in the Final Night and Day, I came out with, I brought some people, some friends, and my nieces and nephews. We all came out to be zombies. Adam and I got to talking. I came back for a second one, and he liked my zombieism.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. So he
wait
sent
a minute,
me
zombieism, is that a new vernacular? Is that a new word
Well,
that we've coined?
It's funny because Pat went from being like, pardon me for saying it like this, but being a nobody per se to being a big contributor to the films that we've done. You know, there are certain people in film that I will not make a movie without. And Pat is one of those people, or has become one of those people that I will continuously make films with, because he's that guy. He's a good person all around, and he's a very good character actor. And there's not a lot of them. And Pat, you know, you put him in a situation. Any film he's done, Black Guy, Final Night and Day, Ombis, his character is always different. He's not playing the same guy over and over again. Excuse me, which is what I personally like when I go looking into character development and character arcs. So to Pat's credit, that is just a remarkable thing. And A Grim Becoming, he's going to be probably the top. It's going to be a new character that he's never even explored before. So
this is going to be great. Now, you know what, Pat? You're talking about being attracted to these types of genre. This really sometimes disturbing genre. I get a chance to interview some really great authors that write crazy stuff, and it's very, very disturbing. What is it about this type of actor, this type of story, this type of project that really attracts you?
Well, like Adam just said, I love being the character actors. You know, when I watch a film, I love to see that guy or girl that comes in and out of the film. here and there, and makes you think or makes you laugh,
and is memorable.
And is memorable.
Yeah, memorable.
You know, like, who was that guy? You know, and I like being the character. I like trying something different every time, and I think that horror allows that because there's no end to what you can do with it, really.
Exactly.
But, you know, we're stepping out of the horror a little bit and getting definitely more serious with the projects.
Yeah.
Now, Adam, let me ask you the same question, because you know what? If I saw you walking down the street, I'd say he's a nice guy. If I was a hood, I'd kick your wallet. But you're just an everyday guy. You're a nice guy. You're not really one of these people that I would be afraid of. Again, I interview Satanists and vampires and all sorts of crazy people. You don't seem to be one of those crazy people. So why are you drawn to this genre?
I originally was inspired by a director, George Romero, who did the original Dawn of the Dead. He did the whole Living Dead series, Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Land of the Dead. He made some lower class Dead films later on, but nevertheless, the Dawn of the Dead film, which was made in 1978, kind of inspired me to explore a realm that I found very comfortable for a while. I was writing all through high school, all the way until college. I was writing short screenplays about zombies, because somebody once told me, you got to write what you know, okay? And for a while, I really explored, in my definition, I guess you'd say, I explored zombies, and I became to know them a little bit. I mean, you know, just because I was so inspired by what he did, that it kind of prompted me to say, okay, now I want to make a film, and the film that I made was a zombie film, and I guess the rest is history. But I really like being a horror director is kind of like being a magician, because you're creating a magic trick every time something happens. Like you get a hand cut off, you got to create the illusion so the audience believes that you know what they've seen is real. So to me, it's like a magic trick. I mean, that's what inspires me with it.
Now let's talk a little bit about your latest, and I have to say, because I was on the set a couple days, one of your most interesting films. It's called Ombis. Now, Adam, I'm going to throw this one at you. Tell us a little bit about it, but don't tell us. Just give us a teaser. Don't tell us the ending.
Ombis is about a village that has been overrun with an alien plague. And realistically, the story isn't so much an alien plague, even though there's a lot of good alien sci-fi creatures and all mutants and all that in the film. It's really about a character, and the character isn't, you know, Pat's character. It isn't the lead character, which is Sheriff Brackett, or, you know, any of the townsfolk in it. It's actually the village, or the town rather, that the film takes place. With Ombis, we were able to create something I personally have never been able to do before in a film, which is actually create a backstory which will intrigue the audience into the film. And I think that's what's going to make the film that much better, because, you know, we're shooting in locations where, you know, we're shutting down villages, we're using grain silos, we're using police departments, and that's something that's going to make the audience really think about the structure of the village, and we created a very good structure in the film.
Now, Pat, let me ask you this one. You're a strapping young guy. You've got Hollywood looks. You got the chin. What do you play in this? What do you play in Ombis?
I play a government agent. I am known as Black Suit 1.
We should give you a name.
You know what? It really kind of works not having a name, because the character is very impersonal, very robotic. Just that government guy that isn't real likable, isn't really in touch with the rest of the world. Just is very focused on his job and his mission.
You know, one thing about your character, not to cut you off, is you were like 2 pages.
I know.
And we expanded his character so much, because he's, again, the character element that he plays is such broad that you know, he was able to bring more to the audience. Because when you're in a film, you want to make sure the audience is interested in what you're seeing. So
he upped my screen time. We changed a lot of things, and I appreciate that.
How did you prep for this? Because I know, you know, I mean, Nick Redfern, I've interviewed, and he's written a lot of books about Men in Black. And I've had a lot of experience with interviewing witnesses who have actually gone and have, well, talked to these people.
Sure.
So how did you get into character for this?
Well, number one, I have a law enforcement background, so I can get in and out of that character. Pretty simple. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
That wasn't proper English.
No, that works. Hey, you know what?
Besides that, I use a few different people, whether they're movie stars or people in my life that I know, for character development, and I took, I won't necessarily say who they were, but one of the guys was actually involved in our movie that I used some of his demeanor, and I went for the straightest man I could possibly get, very much the straight man. And I took from, like Dan Aykroyd, for instance. He's a great straight man, and he's always been an inspiration.
Now, Pat, I want to ask you something. Who wrote the screenplay to Ombis? And you know what? When you guys started rolling, was there a lot of changes that happened?
Well, first, Adam wrote the screenplay along with Janine, and I think a couple other people jumped in, Mark Mandola,
Terry Kimmel.
Terry Kimmel. And it changed even as it went along with that, but when we got on set, we started with changes right away, which we pretty much always do.
Again, it goes back to, you know, we wanted to build Patrick's character more, and the only way we were able to do that is because he had such a good character arc that we were able to portray it more on film. So scenes that he meets a demise in, we'll say, or we can't say demise.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know, we can't really say demise. Something happens to Pat during the film, and that's it. And you know, he goes through this change. So we originally he was only supposed to be in a couple scenes, and then we elaborated, especially like Lisa Redmond too, because Lisa has a scene too where she was only a one-page character, and she's another black suit in the film, and she's a co-star to your character, and she ended up getting a lot more screen time too because of the locations and the acting. You know, we're back there working everything out to try and logistically keep these two characters in the film longer and longer, because again, the audience is really going to be enthralled with the character arcs that they bring to the table. So they're both really robotic, but Patrick's character really stands firm to the creation of the role.
Yeah, and we changed some scenes and how we went along with it. We also changed some of the language, which turned out to be a really good move. Yeah. To get it down to PG-13. Yeah. So they cleaned me up a little bit.
That's a good thing you brought that up, because a lot of this film, the mindset was, let's create a PG-13 film. We want to make a more family-friendly film. Even though it's a horror film and there's blood, there's guts, there's Ombis, there's also, you know, good story, and there's a lot of, you know, things we changed to keep that what we thought the PG-13 rating would be. You know, excuse me, in the world of rating film, they look for blood. One of the things in our film is we try to cut down the blood element and change it with slime, or we change the color of blood into more of the alien-looking blood.
Do you think that this is going to hurt or help your film in the long run?
It's something that's going to intrigue the film. So I think people aren't going to, they're going to be excited to see it. And I mean, there's still blood in there, there's still guts, but there is that mystical, unbelievable look to it too that really is going to set the tone to it.
Now guys, you know what I think is so cool? We talked about how you guys are dedicated to working in Western New York. Now in the movie Ombis, I know you guys shot several scenes locally. Tell me about them. Where were they?
Well, we did some things that have never been done before in a lot of indie films, especially locally and internationally. We were the first film company in Buffalo, New York to actually be able to shoot in the grain silos in the city of Buffalo, which is the first time, it's a history thing. So that's, I feel like, you know, forever engraved in that. But we shot in the village of Angola. We shut the village down about 3 times to shoot in the village. And that's actually when you were on set, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, what else? We shot in a police department, which, I mean, when you think about it, it's like unheard of. How did you get in a police department? We're shooting where jail cells are. I mean,
never hurts to ask.
Yeah, I
know.
And something tells me that Pat is no stranger to jail cells. But we don't want to digress. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But you know, and then we're also talking about we're shooting at a town hall, and you know we have this huge, a nice establishment building that is just like I mean, you're looking at it and you're like, you have a moment and you're just like, how did I get this location again? You know, you're sitting in the grain silos and you're like walking around to kind of, you know, place where you're going to shoot and things, and you're like, how did I get this location again? You know? Yeah. So it's kind of remarkable what we were able to do.
Now, I have to ask you this. Filming on the scale that you guys have been filming on, and we're not talking like guerrilla filming. We're talking about getting it out there, buying the permits, getting permission, shutting down streets. How disruptive is it to like the local populace? And the other thing I want to ask you along with that, I mean, did you guys get any kind of like backlash from it? Anything that like people were mad about, or was everybody really cool?
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second. But why don't we start with Pat first? Because you interacted more. Because you actually didn't. Some days you weren't actually acting. You were walking around set and you were.
Oh yeah, I hung out. I helped out.
I mean, you could explain that better in that fashion. Excuse me, what the people thought.
I think we were very lucky, especially in Angola, to be able to shut down the street a couple times, and I'm sure it was an inconvenience to some drivers. We had a lot of people come out of curiosity as the night went on, and unfortunately, we had to keep telling them to be quiet on set, and you know they were really enjoying the experience. However, it doesn't always mix to have an audience.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones were not really disruptive. Cheektowaga, the grain mills, we kind of had the place to ourselves, and so sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But we were very lucky to secure locations.
There are times, and I found it more on this film because I think the bigger the productions are getting, the more we have to have like a security staff for some of our people. And I've always been very adamant about, you know, when my actors get on set, they need to stay in this location. You know, when my crew gets on set, they need to make sure they're on this location. And then if we have police or anything like that are on set, they patrol. And the one shoot that we were on with Pat, where we shut down an intersection in Angola, I had situations where people were coming up to me nonstop. I actually had to get Eric Half, the production manager for Ombis, to basically push these certain people away, telling them that I can't bother with them because they just kept coming to me.
They were trying to run. There was, I think, actually, Men in Black was premiering part 3. I think at the theater at that time, which was within the block. They had to keep the theater open.
Yeah.
So these people are all coming out for the theater. They see us dressed in black. They think we're part of this promotion. We also had some bogeys get in. I think that weren't. You know, we had a group of extras that they all knew what to do and what their role was. And then I think people started sneaking in as extras without having the background to be there. So,
but yeah, I mean, it
can be confusing.
I had like I said, we had to have those people. I had to have those people taken, pushed aside, and there was an arrest made on one of the locations.
Really?
There was an arrest made. Yeah.
The guy with there was the one who was really trying to take a lot of photographs, and
there was a couple people.
Too.
There was a couple people. I remember on the town hall segment, there was actually 2 people that took still shots of the Nemesis, which is the creature that we'll get into in a few minutes. But the and the whole disclosure of him is our selling point for the film. So to see him in advance and to start publishing things like that, it's like, that could be detrimental to the film.
Let's get into the mythical town of Metzburg. Now, this is where all this takes place, correct?
Every film ever made takes place in Metzburg.
Well, okay, tell me about it. I think it's fascinating that, in a person's mind, that they create this entire land. It's all, and everybody has their own little land of Oz. I mean, in my case, there's usually like naked women running around. However, in your case, you guys have aliens and mutants running around. Yeah. So what's Metzburg really like?
Well, I think Metzburg is an everyday town. Is what I think Metzburg represents a lot of what I've grown up with. The good thing about Metzburg in this film, subject to the other films, the predecessors that came before this film, is it actually finally develops what Metzburg is and the continuity and the story element of Metzburg. And now going further for our films, that we will take it to the next step, we can always refer to as Ombis as the initial film, the film that diagnosed the actual element and structure of the village. And we'll work off that for every other film we go through. So when you see Grim Becoming, which is our next film, you can reference Ombis. And what do you think on it?
Yeah, it's small town America. It's the Rust Belt, and for people that didn't experience what we experienced in Buffalo when the steel plants closed, it could bring them into that kind of small town thing. If you lived in New York City, you would understand that.
Is Metzburg a state of mind? That's what I really want to know.
I think Metzburg, Metzburg's a state of mind, but I think it's also an irony because, like I said, it's basically every town USA. The steel plant in Buffalo was huge, and towards the end of its lifespan, I would say it would be like about the 80s is when I was basically born, and I distinctly remember seeing what the structures looked like. Because now, if you go past anything in Lackawanna, New York, they're gone. It's just vacant land. And you look at it, I mean, I remember buildings being there and what the surrounding looked like, and now, what is it, maybe 15 years later, or not 15 years later, almost 25 years later, you look at the surroundings and you're like, wow, that doesn't look anything like I remember it.
Yeah,
so
when it was operating, it was a lot different.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's 2.5 miles of wasted waterfront.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
So, but how it affected the area, I think, can relate to
yeah.
the town of Metzburg.
Yeah.
Same thing as Buffalo.
Let's get into the nitty gritty. You guys have referenced Nemesis several times during this interview.
Mm-hmm.
Who, or better yet, I should just say what, is Nemesis?
Nemesis is a bastard, is what he is. But he's a big bastard. He's about I think with makeup we have him probably ringing in about 7'1". A character played by Richard Winatowski. Another good character actor. He's in this suit, and basically what Nemesis is kind of like a bounty hunter or a sheriff of space. And the alien plague, which is Ombis, crash lands in Metzburg, and the job of the Nemesis is to obtain that at any cost necessary, without discretion to the human life, in the sense of, if you're in my way, I'm going to blow you the f*** out of my way, you know what I'm saying? But if the main priority is not to let it expand. So if you die, that's only one person in the quest to satisfy and get rid of this Ombis. He doesn't, or the creature doesn't want the exposure to destroy the Earth. In the film, it's referenced Mars was taken over by the Ombis plague, and that's why Mars is the way it is now. So he played off a little bit of that.
Yeah, he's not worried about the collateral damage.
No.
So he's a threat also besides the bacteria.
Yeah.
So for people of Metzburg, neither one is good.
Yeah.
We're talking about a film that has a little bit of a philosophical overtone to it, isn't it? We're not just talking about your plain old, well, let's get in there, elbows up, guns blazing. We're talking about something that just might have actually some ecological ramifications that we might be able to go and tie into modern day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that I think is very, very admirable when we start hearing about the film. Was this purposely done, or do you think that it just kind of evolved as the script was written?
Well, I in no way, and I want to make sure I say this, I in no way take the credit for this film. I mean, I'm the director, and I'll take the credit if the film fails, but I will never take the credit for the film being as successful as it's been. I wrote a character, I wrote a story, and then I took it to other writers who made it an actual good screenplay, and then from the screenplay we went to the actors. The film's nothing without the actors. They're the face of the movie. I'm only the guy in charge of ringing. I'm the ringmaster is what I like to call myself, and it's those people that bring the film to fruition and to the realization, realistically to the viewers. They're not going to remember me. They're going to remember Pat.
There's so much that goes into it.
There's a lot. I mean, between the cast, crew, writers, and everything. So yeah. Hopefully I answered your question. Did I answer his question?
I think it was close.
What was the question?
I don't even know.
We were talking about, some of the challenges of making this film.
Yeah.
Now, one of the biggest challenges, and I have to say that, it's the first time that I walked on a set that had that much makeup. You had so many extras out there. What was it like trying to go and just solidify everybody in one area, the makeup challenges that you guys really were presented, and being able to go and just make a movie with all of this just kind of tied in? Makeup challenges. What did you, tell everybody what kind of makeup you used. Now, we're not talking like the zombie makeup where people are kind of walking like this all day long, and parts of their anatomy are falling off.
Yeah.
We're talking about something different. So tell us about that.
Initially, when I wrote the story Ombis, Ombis is actually a slang for zombie. You put the Z and the E in there, and you get zombies. And again, that's where I came from, because we talked originally about, and now coming full circle, that I wrote what I know, and zombies were written for a long time. So I wanted to make a film that kind of represented that, but I didn't want to recreate zombies. I mean, that's been done. I've done that so many times. I don't need to do that anymore. What I want to do is now create a structure within the zombie elements and take it and make it my own. So the film, like a zombie looks all decayed and decrepit. We changed a lot of that. We made it into more greens and more less red type things. I'm not the best speaker when it comes to the makeup because I really just said to my makeup team, which was really ran by Phil Beath and Jill Jovic, I said to them, you know, here's what I want, go do it, and if it can't be done, don't tell me because I'm coming back for it. And Phil always jokes, Phil, the makeup supervisor, always jokes about how I make him smoke. You know, he was trying to quit before making Ombis, and now he's going on smoking again for Grimm. So, you know, it
was very challenging.
It was very challenging. Yeah.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
You know, Pat, when I was on location, I got a chance to see you kind of interact a little bit with Nemesis, just a little bit. So I'm going to ask you, as someone who is not an actor, what's it like really getting out there and being a part of these action scenes where you really have to go and you have to, somewhere within your own psyche, you have to pull up this fear, this anguish, this massive frustration where you don't know what to do. How was it like that? Because I saw you do it and you were really convincing.
Yeah.
Thanks. The action stuff for me is a fantastic experience. It got better and better as we kept filming.
As we learned,
and,
we learned a lot
learned.
from this film.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. It was an education because it wasn't just horror or grindhouse or all the stuff we've done in the past.
Yep.
It was a step out of the box, not just for Deftone, for everybody involved.
Yeah.
It just grew as the summer went. It just grew and grew and grew, and more people came on board, and people come out to be an extra. And the next week you'd see him out there working the merch table or being a different extra or being on the crew. Ruben is one of those guys who was just instantly addicted, and I think that that happened to a lot of us. So when it got into the action stuff, I was digging it. Yeah, I got
As
into it.
an actor and doing all the scenes that you did in Ombis, is there one that really sticks out?
Yeah, I know other people, anybody that was there will say the same thing, but the grain mills, when it shot there was just a fantastic experience all the way around.
Yeah, there's
Great day.
There's a whole new scene in the film that wasn't actually in the film because we shot so much B footage in the grain silos that actually makes a final print, and the music and the tone of this segment that I'm referring to is honestly, it's quite remarkable, and it almost brought. I'm editing because I'm one of the lead editors in the film. I'm editing, and I almost got a little bit of tear on there because sometimes the music, the music sets that mood, so much better, and it changed your whole persona. Instead of just seeing, driving by a grain silo, you're seeing a slow motion to the grain silo with this music that's very symbolic to what the times would have been.
I want to ask both of you this. When Ombis is released, and you have people sitting back either in theaters or when it goes on DVD and they're sitting back in their homes, what do you want them to take from this movie? And I want to ask both of you this because we're talking about both sides of the coin. We're talking about crew, which is so very important. They are the ones that are so responsible putting everything together, going and filming and making sure the lights are going and putting your whole heart and soul into it. And the actors that are out there, I mean, you guys, you got to learn lines. You've got to sit for hours and hours and hours until you get out for your 20-second take. What do you guys hope that these people take, really take home with them?
I would want people to really just realize what can be done in a small town with a small company and a small budget, and just how the whole Ombis experience, just the way the people came together, everybody. Yeah. It was fantastic. So if you might not get that when you're watching the film, but if you learn the background, like the things we've been talking about today, you'll understand that the hard work and everything that went into this, and you don't have to live in Hollywood to pull something off like that.
And I would conclude by saying, with that being said, I hope audiences enjoy the film because we're making a fun film. That's what I want to make sure that the audience takes from it. A fun film. Yes, I want them to know the backstories, and I want them to enjoy the motion picture, but I really want them to have a good time. When the gunfights happen, when the actors are fighting these sequences and you see the Nemesis for the first time, I want you to have a good time from the moment those credits start to the moment the credits end.
Okay, guys, we have covered everything. We've covered your acting, we've covered direction, we've covered production, we've covered makeup. Guys, ready for $1 million question? You guys ready? You ready?
Let's hear it.
Give me a little
Come on,
reaction,
let's
baby.
hear it, let's
You
hear
know,
it.
we're not talking about little mutants and stuff right here. Let's talk about what's next on the horizon for both of you. And you know what? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna throw the ball in Pat's field first, and then after that, hand it right off.
Okay, well, I'm involved in Adam's next, Adam, I should say Deftone, and all the people involved. A lot of people that were involved in Ombis are going to be involved in A Grim Becoming, which is going to be filmed this summer. And I get to play another character, which I'm really psyched about. And
you can tell if you want. Go ahead.
I'm gonna play
Is
someone
like
who
is
is.
this like a little teaser?
It is a teaser.
It is a teaser. Yeah,
Do I have to pay for this? Does the network have to pay?
Yeah, $1
for
million,
this?
right? I get to play someone who's about twice my age right now, and with the help of Phil's makeup and Adam's direction, I think it's going to go really well.
Yeah.
So I'm psyched about that. I have a couple other things with a couple other people that I can't really talk about right now that are in the works, but it won't affect what we're going to do this summer. And this is a really good script. It's very interesting. It's funny. It's going to be another step out of the box. Yeah. We just keep moving up with Deftone.
Yeah. As far as myself, I got A Grim Becoming. We have this upcoming year, 2013. We have about 6 films that we're releasing.
Wow.
Deftone has been very active in a lot of different genres, different avenues. We've been exploring a lot of things. We're officially now a company as of this past year, and we are trying to take it to the next step. So we've done association films with a couple different studios, which all I had to do really is go on set and say I approve of that. I'm out of here. And then there's a couple films that I directed. One is Caged, which Pat was also a lead character in that film. Ombis is coming out. We have a couple other films which become kind of like a little cult fan in Buffalo type of films, which are the DeBella series. 2 and 3 are coming out. That's under the direction of Chris Burns. Yeah, I mean, you were on those too, weren't you?
You
were on the third one.
The third one I was in, yeah.
That was an interesting adventure.
That was just a fun day.
Then we also have an association film, like I said before, called Holland Road coming out, which is about the legend of the Pigman. That's out in Angola, New York as well. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing...
To Release the Soul is going
to
be coming out
yes,
this
To
year
Release the
also,
Soul. That's another film I directed. So that's 3 films I directed this year. To Release the Soul, which was written by Jason John Beebe. That is a short film which houses a couple great actors, Melissa J., Jason, and Britt Griffith will be in it. A couple new people are in it as well, but they have rather small. Pat's in that too. Pat's everywhere.
Another character.
Yeah. But you got that, and The Grim Becoming is going to be the biggest. Ombis I thought was big, and I didn't think I was going to be able to get any further than Ombis. But we're working on a budget that's twice as much as what Ombis was. We have some huge name actors coming in that are going to showcase our city, and it's good to have a mix of that and the talent that we have found in Buffalo, because we can exploit it that much better and easier.
It's a very challenging project.
Yeah.
We're going to be coming.
Yeah.
Last question for you guys. How can all of our viewers, our listeners out there, find out more about your movies, the actors, and of course, the wonderful, effervescent people at Deftone Picture Studios?
Well, the websites, Facebook has been very good to us. We have a group that we created called Buffalo Extra Group. If you're interested in being, in part of film, you can get in that.
Buffalo Film Extras, I believe.
Buffalo Film Extras, yeah. I'm sorry. Our website, DeftonePictureStudios.com, does give all the latest breaking information that we supply, and we always do casting calls. We're in Yard Voice, newspapers. We try to saturate as much as we can so we can unite and bring as many people together for our shoots.
There's another one, Brian Patrick Stoyle started, Western New York, Actors for
Yeah,
Actors,
that's
and
another
that's
thing.
growing, and it's another one we
Yeah.
advertise in when we're looking for people.
Yeah,
So,
I guess it's going to just depend on how active you want to be in the industry of film. If you want to come from out of state, you're welcome to come from out of state. We'll put you in a film, it's an interesting venture, I guess you could say. And always check our website, ombismovie.com, which talks about the latest breaking on that film as well.
Auditions coming up in May?
Actually,
A
Grim Becoming has auditions moving up into April 2013, so there'll be a 2-day spell for that as well.
And there's, how many
roles
we're looking
yeah,
for?
locally, right now
30?
we have less, I think there's like 20 or 25 roles that we're trying to give to local talent in Buffalo, New York. But we're not excluding anybody. So if you're interested in being part of the film,
come on out.
Come find us. You know.
It's a great community
Yep.
to be a part of.
Yep.
It really is. Everybody, very positive experience.
Yep.
You know what, Pat, Adam, I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me today. It's been an honor.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I'm a very, very orientated person towards working and living here in the Western New York communities. You guys are doing fantastic. So much success in all your future endeavors. And you know what? It was an honor to just be a part of everything here. So thank you guys very, very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Take care.
And everybody, I'm Tim Shaw, and I got to thank everybody here at Deftone Picture Studios for taking the time out for doing this fantastic, fantastic interview with two, again, up-and-coming people here in Western New York. And you know what? Till next time, keep the popcorn rolling, and I'll see you guys in the cheap seats. Take care. Bye-bye.